Packers will have a first and goal. Receiver to the right, Jimmy Graham. Rodgers, quick toss in the flat, left side, got his man for the end zone, and a touchdown.
First and Goal podcast on Spreaker.com. And we're now on all your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Tumblr, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can always follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod, and our Facebook page, facebook.com/First and Goal Pod 33.
Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Every day I'm hustling. 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody, to a special edition of First and Goal with me, your founder and producer, Jay in the UP. And as always, your host with the most down in Georgia, it's Dave.
Evening, First and Goalers. I know, right? Like, geez, do I make you that sick already? You have to introduce me. Good Lord.
I was running out of breath. I'm like tired as hell. I was on a roof all day after work, and oh my gosh, yes.
So we need to get you an oxygen tank to make sure your lungs stay afloat.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Okay, just shut up. I don't need your.
I'm 31. I still feel old. The 6 years in the Army, man, it feels like 10 years of just wear and tear. You know, I only served 6, and I get up and I feel like I'm 41 sometimes. It's just, the doctor even says, son, you're not supposed to have these injuries till you're 40 to 50. I'm like, well, that's what happened to my body. It broke down.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to jump right into it, get right to the news, because I want to be able to get to our guest soon. You know, start right off the bat, I know it might not be irrelevant to everyone else, but Trevor Davis for the Packers, I believe he was a fifth-string wide receiver, and he's the starting kick returner, punt returner. He has been traded to the Raiders for a sixth-round pick to John Gruden, and I'm not surprised because Trevor Davis had a good game against the Raiders in preseason. So John Gruden knew what he was getting. I mean, he's seen him in show before, and Trevor Davis had a heck of a camp and a heck of a off-season, too, about getting back to it. I'm happy for him. I'm always going to root for him. So I hope he does well in Oakland.
Sixth-round pick is good for a fifth-round pick 3 years ago, by the way.
Oh, yeah, especially because he hasn't had that production in past years. I mean, yeah, he was solid in the return game, but he wasn't like that factor in the passing game. So, I mean, hey.
Has he even made it to like 15 receptions yet, honestly?
Oh, God. Yeah, I think he has, because he had to come in the 2015 season when Jordy went down, Cobb went down a couple times.
Yeah, but he
Adams was injured in and out.
He dropped about everything that year, though.
No, I did. I know he did, but he still got targeted quite a bit, though.
No, I mean, like, actual receptions, though. I think he's maybe, he's got to be under 25 for sure.
Under 25 catches?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm not looking at stats. I'm taking a very pretty sure stab in the dark.
Let's see. Trevor Davis stats. He has 9 catches over 4 years. You are correct, sir.
So he didn't even make my initial prognostication of 15 catches.
Nope. He didn't even break double digits.
So a sixth-round pick for a guy that has 9 catches over 3 years. Come on, guys. Get over it.
Well, 4 years, technically.
Well, okay.
Well, 3 and an eighth. Because it was with us for 2 games.
You're like worse than my kids right now. You know, like, oh, well, nope, that was actually your 3 lines too far to the left. Oh, God.
Well, then don't be 3 lines to the left, Dad.
I was born 3 lines to the left.
I'm going to get away from that comment and go on to Jalen Ramsey. Like I said last night, there was supposed to be 2 teams involved, one NFC, one AFC. It's been reported that another team has jumped in the mix late. It has not been reported which conference it's from. All I know is there's 3 teams now. And I like what you said last night, I agree with you. I don't think it's a contender because a lot of these contenders traded draft picks in the offseason for players, or if they're needy at the position, I don't see them giving up 2 firsts. Like, I think Jags are going to have to settle for like a first and a third or a first and a player. I don't see 2 firsts.
Well, it comes down to this. Like, usually the players that get traded to contenders happen at the trade deadline. Honestly, like, early season trades with disgruntled players usually doesn't go from, like, even look at, and I'm not saying he did it the same way, but I'm using it as an example because Fitzpatrick did not he went from an 0-2 team to an 0-2 team. And by the way, I know your argument is, well, they're going to get better. But that 0-2 team was an 0-2 team with their Hall of Fame quarterback playing, okay? And now they don't have it. So it's not like he went to this great situation, even though he's not a great example of acting out because he was much more respectful and quiet about it. But again, forcing a trade, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm sure if you go back and look at history, you're going to find more of the Fitzpatrick type stuff where it's one crappy team going to another crappy team that thinks they might have a glimmer of hope, maybe closer than, the next, is all it is. They're really not getting what they want in the end. The guys that get out of town are usually the guys that are productive for the first 7 weeks, and then because they're productive and they're also at a position where there's other players that are productive too that are younger and cheaper, usually the team says, would you like to go somewhere? And because it's more the team's idea, or even if it's the player's idea, the team is usually more likely to get what that player wants more, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I gotcha. And you know what, though? I listened to the Brian Flores press conference today for the Dolphins, and he was asked, he goes, is there any certain players off limits, like Xavier Howard or Devontae Parker? And he said no. He goes, realistically, if anybody's offered anything and we feel comfortable with it, we're probably going to take it. So he's letting the league know they're not keeping anyone. Like, if you offer them a fair deal for what they see, they will probably move on that player. And Packers had been connected to Parker, Jakeem Grant, and Kenyon Drake. So he's a wide receiver. He's more of a Trevor Davis type twitch player, but he is fast. He'd be really good for the really good twitch plays in the Flores offense, and especially like the gadget plays. He'd be really good on the reverses, the little bubble screens on the outside, and the little, underneath curl routes, and where you can choose which route you want to run after you run the curl route. It's just, I would love Jakeem Grant because he doesn't come with injury baggage that Devontae Parker does. And
Parker is formerly a first-round pick, so the price is probably, even though, and he does have 2 years of production also, so there is a difference between the asking price for those two guys. And again, Parker's a little older, already has an injury history. And look, I'm not saying I forgot that I was saying that I would like him, Parker, because he would be an upgrade. We're just saying, given the two, if you can only get one, that's what I think Dave's saying, right?
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely trade a fifth or the extra sixth you just got for Jakeem Grant. Why not? You just got a bonus pick. Trade it for a wide receiver. You can fill in the slot and work with it. But enough about the Packers. I keep going back to them. It's natural. I'm sorry. So the Lions ended up making some transactions. They cut C.J. Anderson, which is surprising because C.J. Anderson was really hyped up in that camp all offseason. it's just very surprising that they let him go this early. They are really high up on their rookie Ty Johnson, so he's a second stringer now. He played on Maryland last year. Paul Perkins is now on the third string for the roster for the Lions. They picked him up after the Giants cut him. So I mean, they've been making moves left and right. And they made another move that really concerned me. That Stafford's backup was Josh Johnson. He came in last year off the couch basically for the Redskins, won them a football game, and kind of kept them in like the last 4 or 5 games. And like, hey, could they make a run with Josh Johnson? He is a very average backup quarterback, and he would be good to have in almost any backup spot. And the Lions cut him, and they went with a guy I can't stand, folks. Jeff Driscoll out of Florida from a couple of years ago. The guy is horrid. Like, I mean, he was the decline after Tebow in Florida. It was that bad. And, yeah, if the Lions went ahead and signed Jeff Driscoll, our own Julius Porter for the Lions on Detroit Sports Nation, I get contacted him today, and he was highly upset because he liked Josh Johnson. He at least had that veteran aspect to back up Stafford in case anything ever happens, because we've seen Stafford go out from time to time. So, I mean, he was really wanting that security blanket, and he's upset it's not there now because he feels like if Stafford gets hurt, he's going to have to play through it because he knows there's not an option behind him.
Wow. That's interesting because I didn't think there was a lot of people out there that were that liked Josh Johnson. I'm not saying anything disparaging. It's just it's surprising for me to hear that somebody actually thought of him as a good backup quarterback, just because you never hear this guy talked about. That's the only reason I'm saying this. It's not anything against him.
He came in the league talented.
Yeah, he's
That's
a talented
the thing.
guy. You just don't hear. My point, I guess, Dave, is it just caught me off guard that Julius, because it's just not somebody you hear his name talked about, which in a lot of ways is probably a good thing because he has played in quite a few games over the years time in his career.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he came in Tampa, I believe, didn't work out there, kind of bounced around, sat out a year, and then that's when the Redskins called him last year after being out a year and basically said, hey, come play for us while our guy's out and see if we can do something. And he came off the couch and won. So, I mean, you can't really say nothing bad about that. And I would take him as a backup quarterback if we didn't have Boyle, to be honest. I like Josh Johnson's talent. He's got an arm. He just makes kind of questionable decisions, but that's why he's a backup. There's another piece of news as well. Taco Charlton, the former first-round pick for the Cowboys, has been released. They tried to find a trade for him. They could not find one. So they went ahead and let him go. And Taco Charlton's going to be kind of a coveted person on the free agent market on the waiver wire because of the fact he's a former first-round talent, and maybe the scheme Dallas was running wasn't working out. So maybe just to change the scenery helps.
I know a place that he could go where a guy that made him look good and made him into a first-round pick, he could play.
But we have too deep a head talent, man. That's the thing.
I'm not saying. You know what the problem is? Here's the problem. Right now, I believe we have a better talented kid that hasn't been active the first 2 weeks of the season than Taco Charlton. So
that's my point.
I was saying that to be facetious, by the way. I was effing around.
Oh, no. I was actually going to bring that up. As we have Kingsley Keke, who's a talented draft pick we thought would be in both weeks, but
I think Lancaster had some trouble on those stretch plays. A little bit, where I think that Kingsley would have been a little more solid on some of those.
Well, hopefully they'll notice that. I mean, because they noticed enough about Jenkins to come in that second quarter in the Vikings game.
News.
Yeah, Elton Jenkins is going to be replacing Lane Taylor at left guard, folks. Lane Taylor lost the trust of his head coach, and that's the thing. He gave Taylor the chance to win the battle.